Well, hello everyone. Happy Sunday. Ooh, let me make it full screen there. How's everyone doing? Welcome to Effed Up News of the Week for January 9th, 2022. Effed Up News is a little show that I do on Sundays where I kind of recount some of the more crazy stories from the past week, talk about things that I haven't yet covered this week. I hope you guys can hear me because I'm having a little sound problem on my end with my audio setup, but I think you guys can hear me. I just can't hear stuff that's playing back. Please confirm in the chat if that is true, and we will just hunker down. We will make sure that we're pushing forward. Hey, Janice Zeal, good to have you back, my friends. Hey, Jess T. Brooks is here. AAAA is here. Lots of good stuff. Okay, audio is fine. Excellent. Well, guys, we've got some breaking news. In the last 20 minutes or so, I have tested positive for COVID. I didn't expect this. Now, I've been feeling a little under the weather the past 2 days. It got really bad on, I started getting really sick on Friday. And I was like, I just have a cold. Because I really didn't feel that bad. Yesterday sucked. Yesterday I was down for the count. Today I'm feeling a little bit better. My voice is still a little messed up. But the thing is, I had these COVID tests just sitting around the house that the state sent me. And so I made Victor take one last week and he had tested negative. And so I was kind of I don't really think I have COVID because where the hell would I have gotten COVID? Because Victor tested negative for it. But I was like, yeah, I have the tests. Why not do it for just shits and giggles? Just came back positive. I have COVID. So in honor of that, though, we have to take lemons and make lemonade. I'm gonna work my way through the show. We're gonna have to maybe deal with me coughing a little bit, but we have to take our lemons and make lemonade. So because I have COVID, I have decided to pass that deal along to you guys, not in terms of transmission of the virus, because God knows I'm going to quarantine in my house like a good girl. I never leave my house anyway. But what I did decide to do was for today and tomorrow only. For today and tomorrow only. If you want to become a member of my locals community, you can get a free month by using the promo code COVID. That'll give you 1 month for free, so you can check out my locals community. My locals community is the best place on the internet. We do lots of amazing stuff together. No trolls allowed, no nonsense, no insanity. Guys, I'm relatively convinced that everyone on Twitter is slowly losing their minds. Truly. Most of the people I follow on Twitter are just slowly becoming more and more and more unhinged. And that's why I'm so grateful for my locals community, because you guys are some of the people that keep me grounded. I love being able to get together with just normal people talking about normal things. It's the best. So if you were thinking about joining, now's a great day to join. You can join monthly using the code COVID for free to get a free month, and then it's $5 a month after that. You can get an annual membership for $50, which gives you 2 months for free. You can also make a one-time gift. But if this is something you guys have been thinking about, I just don't know of a better time for it. Celebrate me getting natural immunity. By the way, well vaccinated, because I got vaccinated in October. I haven't even been vaccinated that long. This is this didn't even, my vaccination did not even provide me with 3 full months of protection from this virus. Yeah, Nat D says the anti-SJWs have become as crazy as the SJWs. Dude, it's horseshoe theory, man. It's horseshoe theory. Thank God I was never an SJW. People think that I was never an SJW. I thought that all that stuff was stupid. So I never, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, everyone's going crazy. The only way to protect your sanity is by joining a place like Locals. And, man, you don't have to see me in person. I'm not going to pass it on to you or anything, but you can come and hang out in our community Zoom that we're still going to have tomorrow. So we do lots of stuff in Locals. We get together for Zoom calls. We're going to have one tomorrow at 7 p.m., another one on Wednesday at noon. We just had our Bitchcraft yesterday, which was pretty great. But I hope you guys will use the promo code COVID to join my Locals today, because really, why the hell not? So guys, because I am sick, and again, up until 20 minutes ago, I thought I just had a cold. I'm really going to try to power my way through this. I've been feeling really kind of bleh all day. I'll have to apologize to my locals members. Usually on Sundays, I do a post Effed Up News stream in my locals. It's a locals exclusive. I'm just not going to be able to have the voice for it today. But there is lots of stuff that we can talk about. And we're going to start off with some breaking news about me that's not COVID related. That's not two breaking news stories about me. Not that anyone really cares about my health status. Maybe people will care that I got banned from school board meetings this week. That's right. If you don't follow along on my Twitter or are a member of my locals community, this will be news for you. So I have been going to some school board meetings with the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. Yes, apparently, Metastep, apparently I do. According to the home test that I just took. I feel fine, guys. Like, I really just feel like I have a cold. My voice sounds a little messed up. Like, I'm going to be coughing a little bit, but we're going to get through it. We're going to survive. It's going to be fine. But I got banned from school board meetings this week. So it was funny because I think that, so I've been kind of documenting the school board meetings that I've been going to with the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire because they arrested our chair at a school board meeting. And so some of us have been showing up at subsequent school board meetings to protest all the messed up stuff this school has done. Now let's list off the things that the Timberland School District in New Hampshire have done. Number one, they arrested someone at a school board. They arrested a parent at a school board meeting for not wearing a mask. Number two of the teachers in the Timberland Regional School District are actively suing the state of New Hampshire because those teachers just desperately want to teach critical race theory. This is actually in the lawsuit against the state of New Hampshire that the teachers unions filed. Two of the teachers that are in that lawsuit are from this school district. This school district also hid from parents that not one, but two pedophiles were caught on their teaching staff doing inappropriate things with middle school students. School never told the parents. The other thing the school did was to hide from the parents that an active shooter was maybe going to show up at the school. So the school didn't tell the parents this information, even though they knew that this person could show up at the school. Parents were still dropping their kids off at school as though nothing was wrong because the school didn't share with them that information. This is the school board meeting that I got banned from. Now, last week on one of my live streams, one of my Live at 5 streams, I covered this article from the Timber Tatler, which documented all of our activities. And it was actually, to be honest, a fairly accurate article. Like, I mean, it was definitely had a political bent to it, but it was actually like a fairly accurate article about the stuff that we've been doing. And one of the things that they have not liked at this school board meeting is that we occasionally remind them that publicly elected officials have addresses that are public information. And so there have been a couple of us, and it has not just been me, that have yelled out things like, "We know where you live. We'll find out where you live," which is, I mean, I don't actually even know where these people live because I'm a little lazy and I didn't actually look it up, but could I look it up if I wanted to? Yes. Why? Because when you run for public office, your address becomes public information. Okay? So I was merely stating a fact. But the school board didn't like that fact, and they banned me from coming to future school board meetings. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm not going to tell you who else got banned, but I am not the only person to get a letter like this. In fact, the school board or Superintendent Chris Kellen was so lazy about these trespass letters that they literally just copied and pasted. I'm not going to tell you who else got one, but I'm not the only one who got banned from the school board meeting. Let me read you the charges because I know it's a little bit hard to see. Let me read you what they wrote on my no trespass order. The reason for this action is threatening comments you directed at the school board. In particular, during a recent school meeting of the school board, you were heard shouting, "We know where you live." Yep, true. That threatening statement, your conduct on social media, and your use and association with certain hashtags on social media, including, but not limited to, school board tyrants, tyrants have addresses, and make tyrants afraid again, are designed and intended to menace and intimidate the school board during its meetings. So literally, this is a school saying they are banning me, a taxpayer, from attending school board meetings because I am associated with certain hashtags. I haven't even used all these hashtags. I've never used the hashtag school board tyrants, but my mere association with someone who used a hashtag is apparently enough to get me banned from meetings that I fund as a taxpayer. The letter keeps going. Employees of the district are required to attend these meetings as part of their job. School board members must conduct the business of the district at these meetings, and the members of the public have a right to attend these meetings, all in an environment that is free from threats against their personal safety and security. A statement of fact is not the same as a threat. The threat of the thing is not the same as the thing itself. Your comments and conduct at the school board meeting in conjunction with your social media activity, you can feel, can you just feel the clutching of the pearls in this letter? Your comments at the school and conduct at school board meetings in conjunction with your social media activity serves no legitimate purpose other than to disrupt the school board by causing members of the board and district employees to fear for their personal safety. Well, I actually think that people who get themselves elected to government positions, I actually think that reminding those people that they report to the taxpayer is an extremely legitimate purpose. It's an extremely legitimate purpose. The government should be afraid of the people, not the other way around. The people should not be afraid of the government. The government should be afraid of its people. If you get yourself elected to a public position in which your job is literally to serve the community, and then you do not serve that community, in fact, you act like little tyrants that just want to expel people who disagree with you, then yes, perhaps you should be afraid. It continues. In addition, you and many others of your group who attended school board meetings are neither citizens nor taxpayers in the district and or New Hampshire. You know what's funny about this? I've lived in New Hampshire for almost 11 years. They literally have my address on this, which means they know I live in New Hampshire. And yet they're sending me a no trespass order under the guise that I don't pay taxes in the district and or New Hampshire. I'm sorry, if this school takes money from the state, I do pay taxes to the state, mother effers. So if you're taking money from the state, that means I am actually paying taxes that you get to take advantage of. And they know it too, because they know what my address is. Yet your threatening and intimidating actions have had and will continue to have direct and detrimental impact on the district, its employees, and its students. Oh, I dearly hope, Christopher Kellen, superintendent, that my actions continue to have detrimental effects on the district and the district's employees. I absolutely do hope that's the case. So we're going to see. We're going to see what I do with this. I don't know if I want to fight it or not. I don't know if I care enough to fight it. Let me know what you guys think in the chat, or if you're watching the replay in the comments. I don't know what I think, but one of the things I do find very interesting is, so in this Timber Tatler article, let me see if I can find it. So, okay, so here's a picture of me with Jeremy and Eric and Josh Smith, who are all, this was all from the, we went over, we hung out and had pizza and beer after one of the school board meetings, and this was a picture from that. And so one of the things they say is Dr. Karlin Borisenko, but the thing of it is they have my maiden name in there, which is Morissette. But the thing I find very interesting is that they spelled my maiden name wrong in this article. My maiden name has 1 R and 2 S's. They spelled it with 1 R and 1 S in this article. You know what's funny about that? Here, I'm going to cover up my address. They spelled my maiden name incorrectly on the letter. It's the same incorrect misspelling. So it looks like the school board or the school district or the school superintendent is literally taking their information from a random troll website that has just sprung up, that has like 5 followers on Twitter, and this is where the school is getting their information from. We're gonna see very minimally if I can't attend future school board meetings, and again, like, I don't have a kid in this school, so, I mean, like, I don't really care all that much, I'm going to support other people. Um, I can stream them. I can post publicly available information on the internet, making sure people know it's publicly available, just linking to it where it's publicly available. These people wanna fuck with me? I mean, I actually think if they had been smart about this, if this school board had been smart about this and just relegated my activity to what happened in that school board meeting, that might have been the best decision they ever made. But no, no. Tyrants just can't help themselves. They just can't help themselves. They've now gone out of their way to ban me from the meetings, which means I have no other choice but to do what I do best and to rabble rouse and cause trouble live on the internet with a much bigger audience than I had when I was at the school board meeting getting yelled at by stupid moms for liberty. I'm just saying. They may have made more trouble for themselves with this than they can understand. But I feel pretty good about this. I've never gotten a no trespass order before. I was a I used to be so good, man. I was always like the good child that was like always afraid of getting in trouble. I've never even gotten a speeding ticket. I always cry when I get pulled over for speeding tickets and I always get out of them. I do. I pull the card. I do, absolutely. But I've never even gotten a speeding ticket. I've barely even gotten a parking ticket. All of a sudden, fighting back against the state, which let's remind ourselves that the greatest trick that the teachers unions ever played was convincing you that teachers and superintendents, Christopher Kellen, are not government employees. As soon as I start fighting back against the state, I have to deal with no trespass orders. I have to deal with random people Googling me on the internet and taking all sorts of nonsense out of context. Man, why didn't you guys warn me about what I was getting into? But I'm not the only one who's having trouble with the schools and the teachers, quite frankly. You know what's really interesting is Chicago. I covered this last week. So basically, what's happening in Chicago is that the teachers unions in Chicago have voted that they don't want to teach in-person classes because they're oh so afraid of COVID. Because you can tell right now, I'm live streaming on the internet while I have COVID, and I'm like down for the count, man. Can't you tell how bad this virus is affecting me? But the teachers in Chicago are such pussies. Yeah, I said it. I'm gonna be a little bit more uppity today. We're just gonna blame it on COVID brain later. The teachers in Chicago are such pussies that they voted to go back to virtual teaching 2 years into the effing pandemic because they're all too afraid to go and teach in the classroom. Well, an interesting thing happened. The city of Chicago was like, no, no, you don't get to do that. No, get your asses to work. And so the teachers in Chicago are actually right now in a fight with Lori Lightfoot. The teachers in Chicago are like, no, we're not showing up for work. And Lori Lightfoot's like, we're not fucking paying you if you don't show up. It's the best. But check this out. From Fox News, Chicago Teachers Union delegate vows to report members who show up for work. A Chicago Teachers Union delegate has vowed to report union employees who show up to work at their school. Alex, a physics teacher at the Chicago Military Academy at Bronzeville, commented on a post inside a CTU members only Facebook group. CTU is the Chicago Teachers Union, stating that he would be reporting members who go to work. As a delegate, I will be reporting the names of members who go in. He commented on a post asking if members of the Chicago Teachers Union is posting a scab list. He confirmed that he made the comment when speaking with Fox News Digital, but said the union has not instructed delegates to keep track of who goes into work. And then we can see his comment right there. Yes, I did, he said when asked if he made the comment. However, CTU has not instructed us to keep track of who goes in. Chicago Public Schools has canceled classes since Wednesday as a result of a teachers' union vote on Tuesday night where members decided to go back to remote learning due to surging coronavirus in Chicago. A move to remote learning was not accepted by the Chicago Public Schools, and classes have been canceled since Wednesday. CPS could cancel classes yet again on Monday if a deal is not struck with the Chicago Teachers Union. Well, that deal doesn't look like it's any closer to happening because reported today in the Epic Times, Chicago rejects teachers union's proposal to make classes virtual. I love this little standoff. I love it. Lori Lightfoot thinks that she can screw around for the entire year, and it's not going to, or not even year, 2 years almost, and it's not going to come back to haunt her. Please. Chicago leaders on Saturday forcefully rejected a teachers union proposal that would make classes virtual for at least 4 days. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, a Democrat, said in a statement that leadership of the Chicago Teachers Union are not listening. The best, safest place for kids to be is in school. Students need to be back in person as soon as possible. That's what parents want. That's what the science will support, and we will not relent. The statement came shortly after CTU released a proposal that, if accepted, would see teachers return to schools on January 10th, but only to help distribute devices and COVID tests to students. Dude, the reason I took a COVID test today was because the state literally mailed them to my house. I had them sitting around. That's the only reason I took a COVID test today and found out that I had COVID. That's it. So if the state of New Hampshire, excuse me, guys, if the state of New Hampshire can send out tests to all New Hampshire residents, why can't the city of Chicago or even the state of Illinois do exactly the same thing? I don't understand. It seems pretty easy to me. Under the proposal, classes would start remotely on January 12th and continue until January 19th unless Chicago or state officials determine that public health conditions are not safe for in-person school at that time, in which case in-person learning would be able to be off the table until deemed safe. Yeah, so Nat D says always watch for false positives. Listen, man, like I said, my husband took the same test as I did and got a negative. I literally just took it within the last hour and got a positive. So who the hell knows? I don't really care. I wasn't going to leave anyone and go anywhere anyway. My husband seems to be fine. He assured me, listen, man, so much for I am the vaccinated one of the two of us. My husband is not vaccinated. I am. He was up and around in like a day. He kept telling me, he's like, Carlin, I only felt really sick for like a day. He thought it was a cold. Maybe his was a cold and maybe I was just the special magical one that got COVID and he just had a cold. Who knows? But I'm feeling a little bit bitter right now. I was vaccinated and everything. I still got this goddamn thing. God damn it. Actually, I don't really care all that much. I kind of am looking forward to natural immunity because it's better. I don't know. Check with the CDC. CDC is your god. CDC thinks natural immunity is garbage. Whatever. Under the proposal, classes would start remotely. We already read that. The proposal also called for Chicago Public Schools to provide KN95 masks for staff and students to use and introduce triggers for shifting school to virtual learning, such as a 7 straight day increase of COVID-19 test positivity in Chicago. The union said the proposal is necessary amid the spike in COVID cases and that Lightfoot's proposal would not pause in-person learning until half of the school is out with COVID-19, long after school populations have fallen below the number of adults in the building to safely supervise students. Yes, James, all hail the CDC. Hail the CDC. They are our gods, after all. So that's what's going on in Chicago. I'm really enjoying this little back and forth between like this is the monster that Lori Lightfoot and her ilk have created. This is what happens when you let teachers who are government employees believe that they can do whatever the hell they want to do. I'm sorry, this should have been squashed a year ago. And the reason that this is going on is because the Democrats allowed the teachers unions to believe that they were in control. And now they've created this little monster who thinks they can do anything without caring about the learning loss that students are experiencing, without caring about the mental health impacts of their own policies, without caring about the impact that masking has had on, frankly, everyone, but especially people who are younger who are still developing. The things that the teachers unions have done to our country and to the youngest generation are going to follow us for decades. For decades. I used to spend a lot of time working with recent college graduates, and we're not talking a long time ago, we're talking like 2 years ago. I spent a lot of time working with recent college graduates. And even then, the students that the colleges were turning out could barely write. They could barely write. They had to learn on the job how to write. They had to learn on the job how to think. They had to learn on the job how to be creative. Can you imagine what we're going to be experiencing with the generation that's coming up in the schools now? Y'all better get some side hustles, is all I'm saying. Better start some side hustles. Thank you, Westfield90, for the super sticker. I greatly appreciate it. But let's move on. Let's move on. What else do I have on the docket today? Ooh, Joy Reid. Joy Reid's going to lose her job. I'm a little disappointed about this, to be honest. So we did Joy Reid reaction stream on Thursday before I had the coof. We did Joy Reid reaction stream on Thursday, and it was great. I love Joy Reid reaction stream. This Joy Reid reaction stream came with such gems as Joy Reid claiming that Ibram X. Kendi is not critical race theory at all. It really did. Go back and watch the stream. She had Ibram X. Kendi on her show, and she literally said, "You're not critical race theory. Why would anyone think you're critical race theory, Ibram X. Kendi?" But it looks as though Joy's time has finally come at MSNBC, and as Michael Malice, I believe, pointed out on Twitter, it is entirely possible that Joy Reid found out that she would be losing her job from Twitter. This from John at News Politics on Twitter. Source at Comcast. Joy Reid will lose her 7 p.m. show in the next round of reshuffling at MSNBC. She does not have a show come mid-spring. The decision has been made. The only thing left is messaging on the move, which will be ratings. As was the case with Chris Cuomo at CNN, Reid has allies at Comcast. However, she is now viewed as unmanageable by many. Also, similar to Cuomo, it appears that those allies have found out she has been less than truthful about past incidents, to include homophobic blog posts that Joy Reid made back in the day. Also, like Cuomo at CNN, watch for MSNBC/Comcast to defend her right until the announcement. This is going to be the most fascinating thing to watch because there have been rumors about Joy Reid for a really long time about her losing this show. And they've always defended her. Watch how long they defend her. Watch how quickly she goes from the time they stop defending her to the firing. It's going to be quick. That's something we can pay attention to. I had the scoop last year Chris Cuomo was going to get axed by CNN, and then after he was suspended, got the scoop he was not coming back. I got very few personal attacks from his fans. Joy Reid's fans, however, Lord, Joy Reid is insane. Also, I tweeted this back in November. Executives have been contemplating a change for months, but not until recently has the decision been made. So you can see his November 22nd tweet right here. There is serious talk all the way up the food chain at Comcast about Joy Reid's future at MSNBC. And for people unfamiliar with her past homophobic controversy, you can find the article there. Just look up this thread on Twitter. You'll be able to find the link to that. But I'm a little disappointed. I wanted to do more. I wanted to do more Joy Reid reaction streams. I guess we'll have to get in as many as we can between now and spring. But let's not kid ourselves. What the hell else is Joy Reid gonna do? What else is she gonna do? she's gonna show up somewhere. She's gonna end up on some media platform somewhere. Maybe she'll be on like BuzzFeed will launch a whole series. I don't know. She's gonna end up somewhere though. Don't worry. Joy Reid is not gonna disappear. Of this, I have full faith that Joy Reid is gonna end up somewhere else where she will probably get even more crazy than she is now, and we can continue to watch and make fun of her. Kevin Cosgrove asked, Carlin, are you feeling sick? Tested for COVID? Yes, I have COVID. I just got my test in the last hour. And as a result of me having COVID, if you would like to become a member of my locals community now and tomorrow only, today and tomorrow only, just use the promo code COVID and you can get a free month. I think that's a pretty good deal. Guys, please make sure you mount that like button if you haven't already. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel if you feel so inclined. Maybe if you just feel sorry for me because I'm sick. I don't know. But let's move on. What do we have next on the docket? Oh, well, when they're not firing Joy Reid, Democrats are still obsessed with how to keep Trump out of office in the future. Now, this is something that, listen, they tried to do this. This was the whole impetus behind the impeachment 2 thing right now, where they had to impeach Trump even though he had left office already, because they wanted to prevent him from running for office in the future. Well, that, of course, failed. And so now they're trying to make sure that Trump doesn't run for office again. From the Hill, Democrats quietly explore barring Trump from office over January 6th. Now, do you know what I think is so funny? Harkening back to Joy Reid. We've done 2 Joy Reid reaction streams on this channel. The first was the night of the Jussie Smollett verdict. And basically, I wanted to watch Joy Reid to see how she would respond to the guilty verdict on her boy Jussie. And she didn't even talk about it the entire time, and instead spent the entire show talking about Donald Trump. That literally happened. You can go back and watch it on the channel. Joy Reid spent the entire show talking about Trump, did not say anything about the verdict at all whatsoever. Now, in the reaction stream that we did on January 6th, Joy Reid was like, we're not even going to mention Trump's name. We won't dignify him by even mentioning his name. So it's like, these people love Trump. They're obsessed with Trump. They don't know these people would not know what to do if Trump wasn't around. It's like they literally build everything around Trump. Even when they're saying, we're not even going to mention Trump's name, all they're talking about is January 6th. So, like, do they even have to? But they have to make a purposefully big deal out of it. They're like, no, we're not going to dignify the former president. No, I'm not reading your screen name, man. Good evening. How you doing? I mean, apparently not as good as you, 9 Inches Uncut. Congratulations on that, man. Congratulations. Emphasize, here's some money for honey. Get well soon. Thank you, Emphasize. See, now's the time where you want to email me and ask me to unblock you on Twitter, because I'm in a generous mood. Having COVID puts me in a generous mood. I'm not as apt to fight. I don't have the energy for it. All right, let's read this here article. Thanks for bearing with my hacking, guys. You know, it's just the deal. In the year since January 6th attack on the Capitol, a handful of Democrats, constitutional scholars, and pro-democracy advocates have been quietly exploring how a post-Civil War amendment to the Constitution might be used to disqualify former President Trump from holding office again. Calls for Congress to take steps to strip Trump of his eligibility, which reached a crescendo in the aftermath of the January 6th riots, have since decreased. But those who remain engaged on the issues say discussions about applying Section 3 of the 14th Amendment have been ongoing. They just can't let it go. They're so afraid that Trump is going to run for president again. I don't think Trump's going to run for president again. That doesn't mean I don't want him to. I think it would be the most entertaining thing that's ever happened ever. But I have a gut feeling. I agree with Joshua on this one. Joshua predicts this almost every time we ask him on Tuesdays, is like, I don't think Trump's going to run again. But, I would love for him to. I think it would be comedy. But they're so afraid of it. If anything, the idea has waxed and waned since Lawrence Tribe, a constitutional expert at Harvard Law School. I hear it being raised with considerable frequency these days, both by media commentators and by members of Congress and their staffs, some of whom have sought my advice on how to implement Section 3. An analysis by The Hill found that around a dozen Democratic lawmakers have spoken either privately or publicly over the last year about how Section 3 of the 14th Amendment might apply to those who engaged in the insurrection on January 6th. I mean, has anyone actually been charged with an insurrection yet? You know what this is really about? They know they're going to lose the House, and they're trying to see how much nonsense they can do before they lose the House. That's what this is really about. Among those whose offices have spoken with Tribe are Representative Jamie Raskin, no shocker, Jerry Nadler, no shocker, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who is the woman that literally screwed Bernie Sanders out of the nomination when she was head of the DNC. I continue to explore all legal paths to ensure it that the people who tried to subvert our democracy are not in charge of it, says Wasserman Schultz. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, if you remember back to 2016 and the contest between Hillary and Bernie, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is literally the person who made sure that Hillary's team knew what questions were going to be asked in the debate and not Bernie's team. So she's one to talk about subverting our democracy when she was putting her thumb on the scale. Nat D says no one remembers January 6th except cable news and Twitter. I mean, it was kind of a glorious day on Twitter. What I am happy about is to see the right finally coming around to the fact that they shouldn't be sorry for this. I was saying it from the very beginning. I was literally saying on January 6th, I was like, man, I was glad to finally see them stand up for themselves. I went to the Capitol. I went to DC that day not really thinking that Trump was going to be reinstated or anything. I just wanted to see what would happen because I knew that whatever happened, it was not going to be reported on the news. So I wanted to go see for myself. And I have always said that I found it to be a very beautiful sight to watch little old ladies all dolled out in their fur storming the Capitol. There's something that was really compelling and really beautiful about that whole scene. And I'm not saying the violence. I'm just saying people standing up for themselves, empowering themselves. I thought it was a good thing. And I think if the right had taken more control of the narrative and had said, we don't apologize for it. You were rioting all throughout 2020. We are not sorry. I think we would be in a very different situation today if the right had just found their balls and stood up for themselves in the first place. But what I was happy to see on January 6th was that people were making fun of it. They were standing up for themselves. So better late than never. David Skidmore, thank you for the super chat. Get well soon. I greatly appreciate that. Guys, I really don't feel any worse than if I had a cold, to be honest. Like I said, I thought I had a cold. That's what I thought I had up until like an hour ago. Nadler Raskin did not respond to a request for comment. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which was ratified after the Civil War, says that office holders who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same are disqualified from future office. Well, it is a shame that Trump hasn't been found guilty of anything. You know, it's funny. I saw a tweet from, what is his name? Jason Johnson. He fills in for Joy Reid sometimes, and he was like, I don't believe that we live in a world where Trump hasn't been charged with anything and his family hasn't been charged with anything. I was like, keep going, Jason. Why haven't they been charged? Why haven't they been charged? Oh, because they didn't do anything? Because they're not guilty of insurrection? You know, if they could get them on insurrection, they would have charged them a long time ago, please. Raskin, a former constitutional law professor, served as House manager, blah, blah, blah. The point is that the constitutional purpose is clear: to keep people exactly like Donald Trump and other traitors to the Union from holding public office. More constitutional scholars who spoke to The Hill think the provision is not self-executing. In practical terms, that means applying Section 3 to Trump would require an additional step by lawmakers to make the 14th Amendment operative. Some scholars believe that Congress, by simple majority in both chambers, could act on its own to find Trump engaged in insurrection. Well, isn't that convenient? Under the 14th Amendment, restoring Trump's eligibility would require a supermajority vote. So there are lots of people that think lots of things, basically, is what this is saying. But let's be honest. They ain't going to get Trump on this. Come on. If they could have gotten Trump on this, they already would have done it. This is just nonsense. This is not real. But it's entertaining. And so we cover it anyway. Guys, this is Effed Up News of the Week for January 9th, 2022. I sound a little funny because I have COVID. But I'm going to power my way through anyway, because that's what we do here. Now, as a reminder, I'm now streaming every day live on this channel, Sunday through Thursday, including Effed Up News today. But then I will also be streaming tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 5 p.m. on this channel. On Fridays, we go over to my second channel, Actively Unwoke, for happy hour at 5. You can subscribe to my second channel by following the link in the description below. If you're watching on Odyssey and Rockfin, we stream on the same channel every day. And that's a little new schedule that I'm getting myself in. I'm enjoying it so far. Let me know if there's stuff you want me to cover. I'm not just going to do news every day. Tomorrow, what I'm thinking about doing on my Monday stream is talking about Lindsay Ellis and her letter that she wrote, resigning from all public life, which I actually kind of, to be honest, I read a little bit of her letter. I didn't read the whole thing because I wanted to basically do a reaction to it if I was going to do that. But I identified with some of it, man. I did. Not that I feel sorry for her, because she made her own choices and she has absolutely contributed. But there were elements of her letter that I completely understand. So I'm thinking about talking about that tomorrow at 5 p.m. I hope you guys will join me for that. All right, next up, an interesting fact check from the AP. Mass formation psychosis, an unfounded theory spreading online suggesting millions of people have been hypnotized into believing mainstream ideas to combat COVID-19. You mean like when they told us that if we just got vaccinated, we wouldn't get COVID? Remember that? Remember when they told us that if we just got this little card right here that I have, remember they told us that if we just got this damn card, we would be protected from COVID? And I got vaccinated less than 3 months ago, and today I sit here with effing COVID? Please. To be fair, I never really believed them anyway, but I'm a little bit bitter. I'm gonna milk this sickness for all it's worth. I'm a little bit bitter. Maybe the AP can do a fact check on whether vaccinated people can get COVID. But no, they instead did it on the idea of mass formation psychosis, and they say, psychology experts say, the concept is not supported by the evidence. Well, so interesting fun facts that I want to lay on you guys before we read this article. Fun fact number 1, the American Psychological Association, as I have covered on this channel a couple months ago, maybe, issued a massive resolution in which they apologized for their centuries of support for systemic racism. So that tells you about the psychology experts in the American Psychological Association. In the American Psychiatric Association, it's even more interesting because the American Psychiatric Association was literally one of the main organizations that was lobbying the Biden administration for vaccine mandates. So I don't know where the AP is getting their psychology experts from, but let's read this here fact check and find out. An unfounded theory taking root online suggests millions of people have been hypnotized into believing mainstream ideas about COVID-19, including steps to combat it, such as testing and vaccination. In widely shared social media posts this week, efforts to combat the disease have been dismissed with just 3 words: mass formation psychosis. I'm not a scientist, but I'm pretty sure healthy people spending hours in line to get a virus test is mass formation psychosis in action, reads one tweet that was liked more than 22,000 times. The term gained attention after it was floated by Dr. Robert Malone on the Joe Rogan Experience on December 31st. Malone is a scientist who once researched mRNA technology, but is now a vocal skeptic of COVID-19 vaccines that use it. Wasn't he the inventor of the mRNA vaccine? The AP is saying that Dr. Robert Malone was just a scientist who maybe sometimes researched. Maybe I make this a little bit bigger. Hang on. That's a little bit better. Okay. So the AP is saying that Dr. Robert Malone is just some guy who once researched mRNA technology. Didn't he invent it? Just some guy that, back in the day did some research on some stuff. Please, AP. But psychology experts say the concept described by Malone is not supported by evidence. Okay, so they haven't even identified who their psychology experts are. Here's a look at the facts. Claim. The concept of mass formation psychosis explains why millions of people believe in a mainstream COVID-19 narrative and trust the safety and efficacy of vaccines. I trusted the safety and efficacy of vaccines, and look where it got me with COVID streaming on the internet, we barely being able to talk. I'm not bitter or anything. Not bitter. Malone highlighted the unfounded theory on a podcast hosted by comedian and commentator Joe Rogan. During the episode, Malone cast doubt on COVID-19 vaccine safety and claimed the mass psychosis had resulted in a third of the population basically being hypnotized into believing what Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, and mainstream news outlets say. Malone went on to say that the phenomenon explained Nazi Germany. When you have a society that has been decoupled from each other and has flea-throating anxiety and a sense that things don't make sense, you can't understand it, and then their attention gets focused by a leader or a series of events on one small point, just like hypnosis, they are literally becoming hypnotized and can be led anywhere, Malone said. He claims such people will not allow the narrative to be questioned. Crediting a professor in Belgium, Malone also said in December a blog post that this mass hypnosis explains millions of people becoming captivated by the dominant narrative concerning the safety and effectiveness of genetic vaccines. Now we're getting into the psychology experts. Oh, excellent. We're finally finding some experts. Hang on, guys. Let me just take a sip with my fucking COVID fucking throat. My vaccinated COVID throat. To my knowledge, there is no evidence whatsoever for this concept, said J. Van Bavel, an assistant professor of psychology and neuroscience at New York University who recently co-authored a book on group identities. Van Bavel said he had never encountered the phrase mass formation psychosis in his years of research, nor could he find it in any peer-reviewed literature. So he's taking umbrage with the phrase. He's taking umbrage with the phrase, not actually with the concept, with the phrase. Wow. The concept has no academic credibility, Stephen Reicher, a social psychology professor at University of St. Andrews in the UK, wrote in an email to the Associated Press. The term does not appear in the American Psychological Association's Dictionary of Psychology. See, look at the American Psychological Association, which recently issued a dramatic declaration that they apologize for all systemic racism. Psychosis is a term that refers to the conditions that involve some disconnect from reality. According to a National Institutes of Health estimate, about 3% of people experience some form of psychosis at some time in their lives. Richard McNally, a professor of clinical psychology at Harvard University, wrote in an email that people who support COVID-19 vaccines and public health guidance are not delusional. Rather, they are fully responsive to arguments and evidence adduced by the relevant scientific experts. That seems like a pretty broad generalization to me, but okay. Health officials have found COVID-19 vaccines to be safe and effective, especially in terms of protecting against serious illness. I suppose I should be thankful that I got vaccinated and then got COVID within 3 months. I suppose I should be thankful for that vaccine. even though my husband, who is not vaccinated, got better in like a day and a half. I'm just saying. Been sicker a little bit longer, even though I was vaccinated. The description of mass formation psychosis, offered by Malone, resembles discredited concepts such as mob mentality and group mind. Those are not, dude, I am sorry. Those are not discredited concepts. I say this as an actual psychologist. Just as a reminder, YouTube, I actually do have a PhD in psychology, as it turns out. The concepts of mob mentality and group mind or groupthink are not effing discredited, please. According to John, a social psychologist at the University of Sussex in the UK, who studies collective behavior, the idea suggests that when people form part of a psychological crowd, they lose their identities and their self-control, they become suggestible, and primitive instincts, impulses dominate. The notion has been discredited by decades of research on crowd behavior. No reputable psychologist agrees with these ideas now. That's not true. No, 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 no. Multiple experts told the AP that while there is evidence that groups can shape and influence one's behaviors, that people can and do believe falsehoods that are put forward by the leader of a group. These concepts do not involve the masses experiencing psychosis or hypnosis. So essentially what we're seeing in this is essentially what we're seeing in this is that they're taking more umbrage with the term that they're using than the actual concepts they're describing. They're like, you're not using the right words to define this concept. So we're going to attack the words that you're using rather than the concept that you're articulating. Deborah Evans says, I agree with Carlin as a PhD in experimental psych. Any other psychology PhDs in the chat want to speak up? Stephen J. Lynn, a psychology professor at Binghamton University in New York, said Malone's argument that a group can literally become hypnotized and can be led anywhere is premised on a myth about hypnosis. His claims represent a serious misunderstanding of hypnosis and doubles down on the popular misconceptions that hypnosis somehow transforms people into our mindless robots who think what the hypnotist wants them to think and do the hypnotist's bidding. Well, that's true enough. Like, that's not the way hypnosis works. But I also don't think that's what he was suggesting. You can reject like things when you're hypnotized, and not everyone in the population can actually be hypnotized. Like, you can reject certain requests or things when you're hypnotized. You just, like, your defenses are down, so you're not as inclined to. But that's not how this works. My gosh. The scientifically established fact is that people can easily resist and even oppose suggestions. Well, that's true, but what we're talking about here is suggestions being offered over and over and over and over and over and over and over again across every source of information they trust across the last 2 years. And at some point, this is not like being hypnotized. Like, you might see like a hypnosis show at like your county fair or whatever, and everyone goes up on the stage and they sit in the chairs and then they do the funny things and all this stuff. Like, that's one time where they get a suggestion, right? What we're talking about is a ginormous group of people who are getting the same suggestions over and 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 over again from every source of information that they trust over the course of years. At some point, you're going to wear down. And a lot of people have worn down. So what they're describing in this fact check is not the same thing that Dr. Malone was describing on that episode. Sorry. Before the concept of mass formation psychosis took off in recent days, it had percolated online in recent months. So a little bit more, but you can see, like, I think that this is propaganda. That's not to say that I necessarily 100% buy into the idea that half of the population is under hypnosis at all. I'm not saying that. But I do think it's very clear that there is a large segment of the population who are only operating on confirmation bias, who are only taking in information from sources that they already agree with to reach conclusions that they've already drawn. And that's true on both effing sides. And until we can start living in the land of reality again, and reality in this case being that I'm living proof that vaccinated people can get effing COVID. Like, until we can start living in that type of reality, I just don't know what to tell you, man. Don't know what to tell you. I really do think that things are gonna get worse before they get better. I'm blackpilling more and more every day. And the reason I'm blackpilling is I'm watching people who used to be, like, of sound mind, like friends of mine. People not old lefty friends, but, like, people who's less than 3 months ago. Let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you guys this in the chat. Like, I am watching people who were normal 3 months ago slowly starting to become unhinged from reality. I think more and more people are losing it, and not just people on the left and not just people who buy into the COVID, like, narrative. I think a lot of people are getting pushed way too far, and I'm starting to question, like, how many people, especially online, on Twitter, on the social media sites, including influencers, how many people are going a little bit crazy? How many people are going crazy? Is this something that you guys have noticed? I even see influencers bickering back and forth. Scott Adams and James Lindsay are now bickering, and this hurts me on a deeply personal level because I actually really do value both of them. I have people in my life who I would have considered a friend just a couple months ago now acting goddamn insane. I just don't know what to do anymore. This is why I'm retreating into my locals, because I feel like I have no safe spaces left. And I really am blackpilling with where the world's going. But, maybe. And you know what? Like, let's listen, to be honest, stuff like this doesn't actually help much. Do you guys hear this story? Stuff like this doesn't help. The latest and greatest in COVID insanity. Texas mother is charged after 14-year-old child is found in the trunk of her car at drive-through COVID testing center. This is the level that we have descended to, the level of madness. Naruto just started the stream and don't know if you've covered it. Already wanted to say Mannequin Lives Matter. Naruto, I almost covered it. I did. It was on the list, and then I just had too many other stories. But Naruto in my locals community gave an awesome news article that almost made it into Effed Up News this week about the Taliban. The Taliban is ordering that mannequins be decapitated because mannequins are idols. Maybe Naruto, maybe I'll cover it this week on one of the live streams. Because it is a really funny story, actually. The Taliban is ordering that mannequins get decapitated, and I appreciate you bringing that to my attention, Naruto. Check out this story. This is how insane the media has driven people, like normal people. A Texas mother faces child endangerment charges after forcing her 14-year-old son to ride in the trunk of her car to get a COVID test at a drive-through site. Hang on, sorry, throat. Sarah Beam, 42, from the Cypress Fairbanks area near Houston, allegedly packed the teen in a trunk as she drove to the testing site at Ken Pidgeon Stadium after he tested positive for the virus on January 3rd to get another test. So, mom's son tests positive for virus. Instead of behaving like a normal mother, she insists the son quarantine by getting in the trunk of their car and going to the testing site. This is how insane the media has driven people. Cypress Fairbanks ISD Police Department issued a warrant for her arrest on Friday. Police said Beam pulled to the giant tent set up at Falcon Road when Bevan Gordon, the health services director on site, heard a noise inside her trunk. Beam, who had worked at the Cy-Fair district as a teacher. She's a teacher. She is a teacher. Beam, who worked at the Cy-Fair district as a teacher since 2011, told Gordon that her son had tested positive for the virus and had to be quarantined, according to the court affidavit. She told Gordon she placed him in the trunk in order to protect herself from the virus and wanted to get him an additional test, the police said. And can we talk about the fact that she apparently didn't think there was anything wrong with driving up to a testing site in which she was going to have to show the people at the testing site that she had locked her son in the trunk of a car? She thought everyone would be totally fine with this. She's a teacher. These are the people that are responsible for educating your children. Locking a 14-year-old in the trunk of their car to quarantine them. Police did not say whether the mom or her unidentified son were vaccinated. I'm going to bet they were. When she popped the trunk, Gordon found the boy laying down inside the vehicle and told Beam she could not receive a COVID-19 test until the boy was seated safely in the back seat. Surveillance footage obtained by the Cy-Fair ISD-PD reportedly showed the 14-year-old exiting the trunk and climbing into the back seat. The teen was not harmed during the incident. Beam recently worked as a teacher in the district, but is currently on administrative leave. One would hope so. One would hope so, but no, we're not engaging in any insane behavior at all. Hey, good thing China is weaponizing brain control. Just in case you weren't scared enough by the world going insane all around us at any given time, let's listen to what China's doing. Guys, if you have not mounted that like button, please make sure you do so. China is developing terrifying brain control weapons, which could be used to paralyze and control its enemies and its own people, a report says. Washington has reportedly sanctioned Beijing's Academy of Military Medical Sciences and 11 other research firms using biotechnology. One of the weapons reportedly being developed is purported brain control weaponry, according to the Washington Times. I just wanted, before we keep going with this article, give a hat tip to Awesome Human, who is the one who posted this in my locals for me. I greatly appreciate it. Jenny's getting inky with it, says, and her son was willing to get in the trunk. If she raised her son to be so submissive, think of her students. Well, we can't blame a 14-year-old for getting in the trunk of a car because their logic function of their brain is not fully developed. Okay? So we have to cut the 14-year-old some slack. Doesn't have the logic function of his brain yet. Hopefully, he will learn himself a lesson. The Chinese institutes were blacklisted by America's Commerce Department last week. Well, that's something, I suppose. The government department did not go into detail about the sinister weapons. However, 2019 military documents seen by the news outlet did offer some insight. China wants to paralyze and control the opponent by attacking the enemy's will to resist. Imagine that. A major government is developing weapons to paralyze and control the opponent by attacking the enemy's will to exist. And we know they've been doing this for at least a couple of years. Imagine that. The weapon would not be used to kill or destroy bodies, the documents reportedly state. After being placed on the entity list, American firms can no longer export or transfer goods to Chinese institutions without a license. This comes amid government warnings to U.S. firms that China is trying to obtain American technology to take over key sectors, including biotech. Unfortunately, the People's Republic of China is choosing to use these technologies to pursue control over its people and repression of members of ethnic and religious minority groups. We cannot allow U.S. commodities, technologies, and software that support medical science and biotechnical innovation to be diverted towards use contrary to U.S. national security. Well, one would think. Nothing to worry about, guys. China's just trying to take over people's brains. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, check this out. In 2019, a mind-reading computer chip was revealed at the World Intelligence Congress in China. The breakthrough device is called Brain Talker and allows a person to control a computer with just their brain waves. It is not implicitly stated how the brain chip will be worn, but most BCIs are currently worn outside the body and not actually inside a user's brain. The researcher says brain computer interfaces hold promising future. The Brain Talker chip advances BCI technology, allowing it to become more portable, wearable, and accessible to the general public. You know, whatever. Whatever. Kevin says, watch the end of Europe on YouTube with Douglas Murray. Do I really want to, Kevin? Or would it just scare the hell out of me? Yeah, Nat D, Illuminati mind control. We are so fucked. We are so fucked. Guys, the very best thing you can do, mark my words. Well, move to New Hampshire would probably be the very best thing you can do. But other than that, I really think that the very best thing you can do is find communities of your people, man. You know what? Here's the thing. Get square with what makes you happy. Get square with the type of person you are. Be honest with yourself. Have some tough conversations with yourself about who you are and what you like and what you don't like, and find other people who like the same things you do. And even if you like weird stuff, I promise you, there are people out there who will like the same things you do. Find your people, find your communities, because I am absolutely convinced that most of the world is going insane and that all we have left are the people that we choose to surround ourselves with. I feel really good that I'm in New Hampshire. I love the community that I'm involved with in New Hampshire with the Libertarians and the Free State Project. I love them. I think it's great. I feel really good. We do things in real life, not on the internet. Makes all the difference, by the way. Get off the computer, get off of social media, because honestly, the world is going to hell in a handbasket, and you want to make sure you're surrounded by good people when that happens. But I always like to leave on a high note. And before I go and lay down and die, I want to share with you guys a story that Leslie Gordon on Twitter, who's one of my favorite follows on Twitter. This woman is brilliant. I didn't always like her because the first time I saw her, she was like talking about Amy Coney Barrett's clothes in the confirmation hearing, and she didn't think Amy Coney Barrett was professionally dressed, and I thought she was a leftist for saying that, and so I went at her a little bit, but it turns out that she's awesome and amazing, and I really like her. And I was wrong. I can admit when I'm wrong. But listen, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to be honest, guys. I've been dealing with some shit lately. I have. Last couple months have not been the easiest months for me. I am dealing with people who I once respected become absolutely insane. I'm saying this to you guys not because I think that it's important to acknowledge vulnerabilities, and I want to provide a role model for acknowledging vulnerabilities. I've been dealing with actual clinical depression, and I've been dealing with a lot of bullshit for the past several months. And one of the things that keeps me going, one of the things that keeps me waking up and continuing to do this every single day and continuing to fight back is because I know that I would be giving way too much satisfaction to the crazy bitches if I stopped. And I want to let you guys know that too, because I know I'm not the only one in the world that's dealing with bullshit. I know many of you do in your own way. And I want to give you some inspiration for continuing to fight the good fight, continuing to show up, because there are days, guys, that I want to quit so badly that I can't even tell you. There are days I'm like, I just don't want to be on the internet today. I don't want to do it. And I want to give you a little something to get you through those days, because I know that I'm not the only one that has those days. New meme on your locals. Thanks for the inspiration. Oh, thanks for that, man. I will check that out. I'll check that out as soon as I'm done this. But I want to read you this story. This is the type of thing that keeps me going. A pastor is preaching on harmony and love for your fellow man or woman. He asked the congregation to reflect on this value in their own lives and how few of us are truly able to say that we try to live in harmony with others. After a few moments, oh my God, hang on. Okay. After a few moments, there we go, my voice is a little bit back. After a few moments, he asks for a show of hands who can truly say that there is no one in their life that they can. Hang on, I'm gonna start again. You guys mind if I start again? I'm gonna start again. I feel like I got off track. I don't even know what I'm saying. Mommy, thank you for the super sticker. I greatly appreciate it. All right, we're gonna start the story again. A pastor is preaching on harmony and love for your fellow man or woman. He asked the congregation to reflect on this value in their own lives and how few of us are truly able to say that we try to live in harmony with others. After a few moments, he asked for a show of hands of anyone who can truly say that there is no one in their life that they consider an enemy or have a grudge against. No one raises their hand at first, but finally, one little old lady lifts her hands and the preacher beams. He says, "Ah, the wisdom of the ages. Stand up, sister, and share your wisdom with us. How have you managed to make it to your old age living in harmony with others and not having any enemies or anyone you have hardness of heart against?" And the little old lady rises to her feet and says, rises to her feet and says, "I outlived the bitches. I outlived the bitches." So, guys, anytime you're feeling like you can't go on another day, anytime you're feeling like everyone around you is crazy, anytime you want to give up, just remind yourself that our job here, our only job, our only job is to outlive the bitches. That is our only job, is to make sure that even though we might take a break sometimes, and I'm going to go take a little break after this stream, hopefully I'll be back tomorrow. It's okay to take breaks. It's okay to lick your wounds. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. But we have to give up and we have to keep going. We have to outlive the bitches because you don't want any of them to have any sort of satisfaction that they shut you up or caused you to do things that you didn't want to do just to make them happy. Write that one down on the sticky note, guys. Put it on your computer. Put it where you can see it. Our only goal is to outlive the bitches. All right, guys, that's all I have for Effed Up News this week. Now, if you joined late, I do have COVID. I took a test right before the show, found out I had COVID. So I feel fine. I just feel like I have a cold. Ego brain, I actually do have some stuff that I'm gonna make sure makes its way out there. But we're going to take advantage of this situation, and you guys are going to benefit from the situation. And if you would like to join my locals community, which is the best place on the internet, just use the promo code. No, oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh, didn't even take my promo code. Hang on. Let's get my email address up. Oh, God. Dang it. Stop share. Hang on. We're going to do this again. We're going to do it again. You guys just got a sneak peek into my locals. What you're going to be able to see when you join. So come on with the promo code COVID. You're going to get a free month in my locals. You can join by going to kb.locals.com/support. The link is in the description below. Get a free month in locals, guys. This promo code is only going to be used for the next couple days. So today and tomorrow. If you don't sign up today or tomorrow, this promo code is going to go away. You're going to have to pay that $5. Okay? So come on and join me in locals. We do actually have a community Zoom coming up tomorrow night at 7 p.m. So perfect timing. Only supporters get to join the community Zoom. Metastep, you can come into the community Zoom and ask me for my take on Jack Murphy. Okay? So I hope to see some of you guys in locals. Take advantage of the opportunity. My community, I really do believe I have the very best locals community on the entire platform. Like, awesome people. I love them to death. We just had our bitch craft yesterday, which is like a crafting bitch. We had a great, like 30 people chatting and knitting and crafting and doing all sorts of awesome stuff. Ego Brain, I do actually have one. I have an Outlive the Bitches shirt that I think I took it down out of the store, but I'm gonna relaunch it this week. So don't you worry. I've got a great Outlive the Bitches shirt. It's awesome. It is actually one of my favorite things. But come and join us, guys. Again, I do streaming. I'm doing every single day of the week now, except for Saturdays. So if you want to come and join me for my streaming schedule tomorrow, I'll be live at 5 on my main channel every day, Sunday through Thursday. On Fridays, we go to my second channel, which is Actively Unwoke. You can subscribe in the description below. If you're watching on Odyssey or Rockfin, I will be on the same channel every day. The only day I take off is Saturdays, because I need to, sleep sometime and occasionally actually recover from whatever illness my husband has brought home. That's all I have for this time, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hope you have a great weekend. And again, oh, Nat D, you should have been in my locals a couple weeks ago because I spilled all the dirt on Adam a couple weeks ago in our Zoom call. I did. I even spilled on our local Zoom call why Adam got fired from Timcast in the first place, which is what I've been accused of for the last year and a half, is telling this secret that I never actually told publicly, but they've accused me of it so much that I was like, fuck it. And I just talked about it on the Zoom call. So if you want the real tea, if you want the real dirt, you got to join my locals, man, and come onto our community Zoom. It's private. It's not recorded. It's our own little safe space. You'll get all the tea. All the tea I don't spill on YouTube. All right, guys, that's all I have. I got to go drink some tea, put some honey in it, all that good stuff. Maybe get some vitamin D or zinc, or if you guys have remedies, my locals are doing a great job of giving me all the remedies right now, so I appreciate that. That's all I've got today. I'll be back tomorrow at 5 unless I'm like in the hospital or something, but I feel okay, so I don't think that's going to be the case. But I'll see you guys soon. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.